What's up folks, Mike here at Welling Watches. Welcome to the video, and today's video is a second video, an amendment video to the first video I did with regards to the Hobbyist's Guide to Lubrication. If you haven't seen the first video, then by all means go and check that out. I'll leave a link in the description or an annotation somewhere here on a screen where you can go and watch that video. But this secondary video is just to cover some of the things that I might have missed, some of the questions and some of the points that I think I didn't go over in the first video. The first video I did, I recommended 3 or 4 of the best lubricants to use when you're starting out in watch repair. But what I didn't realise is that combined, those lubricants are actually quite expensive to buy. So I thought I'd mention that it's not necessary when you're starting out to use the lubricants that I mentioned in that video, but that would be a good starting point. So in the description below I will leave a couple of links to some alternative, much more affordable lubricants that you can use if you're only just starting out in watch repair. Because obviously there is a big difference between those that are starting out in watch repair, just tinkering with a couple of watches every now and again, to those that do it in a professional setting, such as myself. I obviously have a lot of different watches come into the workshop, so I need all the different lubricants and tools to hand in order to perform a good level of service to each of those different movements, different watches that come in. But if you are just starting out in the hobby of horology or watch repair, then you don't need to have all the unnecessary expense. So you can get away with the bare minimum of tooling and lubrication. So as I said in the description, I'm going to leave a couple of links to some products that I recommend that are much more affordable and beginner friendly than some of these Swiss lubricants, because they can get quite expensive. But if you feel once you progress through some watches and you start to go up in technicality that you want to improve the quality of your work and you want to get slightly more expensive and better quality lubricants, then you can by all means do that, and I will probably produce some videos going over the different lubricants that I use and the reasons why I use them. But if you're starting out, then by all means start off with something much more affordable. Get your bearings, learn how the movement works, how to disassemble a movement and put it back together, and all of those sorts of things first. So that's on that subject. And one thing I actually heard, but I never actually mentioned in the first video, it's quite a basic principle, but the question came up quite a lot in the comments of, you know, what oil do I use for this? What grease do I use for that? And one of the basic principles to remember is that if it spins, use an oil, and if it slides, use a grease. It's a very good basic principle to apply to lubricating something, including watches. It's not a coverall. It doesn't mean that term absolutely in every single watch ever. But as a good general guiding principle, if it spins, use an oil. If it slides, use a grease. And you can apply that principle to watchmaking, watch repair, especially if you're starting out, because the rest of the tricks you'll learn as you progress, for sure. One of the other things that I didn't touch on in the first video also was the way that I like to apply oil and lubricants to watch movements. Now obviously there are various parts of a watch, and the application of oil and grease and all the various different types of lubricant are done differently depending on which part of the watch that you're actually applying it to. But basically I have 2 means of applying a lubricant, and I didn't touch on them in the first video, but I will show you very briefly in this one. This is a version automatic oiler. It's a very good tool. These usually come in a set of 3, but you can buy them individually, and they're about 70 to 80 pounds. And this one has some fluorescent 90-10 lubricant in there. It's a very handy tool. It applies a very precise amount of oil with a very fine tip to joules and to shock joules imbalances and things like that, and it does come in handy for certain jobs, but it isn't my favorite method of applying oil. My actual main oilers that I like to use are these ones here. So there's three version ones. Version ones are the ones that have the little coloured rings around them, although some of the coloured rings are missing, and these are very comfortable to use, and they come in different sizes, but the tips on them are very good. They have like little spade tips which collect the oil from the various oil jars that I have, and I can have very good precise control of where that oil goes, how much I pick up. And yeah, so I like these version ones. These are very good, but there are some other ones like these older style version which have different size. I don't think we can actually see in the camera, very difficult to pick out. These older style have different like size balls on the end, and they're pretty good at picking up lubricants, but they're not quite as much control as the ergonomic set. But if you're starting out, then a basic set of oilers, it would be all you need. And as I mentioned, I'm going to leave a link in the description to some of those kinds of tools as well. There are, of course, other things when it comes to lubrication. There's this stuff which you might have seen in some other people's videos, fix to drop, which is what's the other word, epilame. Epilame is a completely different solution, and that's something for another video. But basically, it helps to stop the spread of oil, and as I mentioned, this is something that will probably require its own video because it's very special stuff. It does a really good job, but that again will be for another time. So one of the other things I wanted to mention in this video is there will be other videos, hopefully a series of videos showing how to apply different types of lube to different surfaces and why you'd apply them in that way, how much lubrication you need to apply, which is more often than not a lot less than you think. So there will be a series of videos like that, and I'm also going to plan another series of videos to help towards those that are starting out in watch repair, what kind of tools you really need, because there are a lot of tools out there and it can get quite expensive quite quickly. So I'm going to try and help guide you guys through what you should look to get and what you should look to avoid until you're much more experienced in your hobby. But most importantly, the message I really wanted to get across is don't worry so much about getting the best lubricant, the best tooling, and the best of everything. Get something that's affordable within your budget and just have some fun, have some enjoyable fun taking something apart, putting it back together, getting it wrong, getting it right, it doesn't matter. Just take your time and enjoy it. Obviously don't do that with a family heirloom watch, but get something off eBay, nice and cheap, that you can play around with and that you don't care, and have some fun with it, and don't be afraid to make any mistakes, because even the best of us make mistakes, and it's all part of the learning process. But anyway, that's it for this video, but as I said, there will be more videos to come in the future for sure, and I really look forward to trying to help some of you guys and girls out there that are looking to get into watch repair, and if I can help, I will. But until then, take care of yourselves, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.